It says recording. So let me just start by saying today's March the 8th, 2018. My name is Natalie, and I'm here with Laura to discuss. It's our first meeting, actually. It's our first meeting. We have a lot to talk about. You go first. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Great. Okay. Well, yeah, I wrote up a real quick summary so that I would be fast. I started teaching 20 years ago with a program called Teach for America. It places college graduates in low-income communities with a high need for teacher placement. So I taught and then earned a master's in teaching while I was teaching. I taught for 4 years, and I taught 7th and 8th grade Spanish in Washington, D.C. And then for 15 years after that, I worked for the nonprofit organization that placed me, so Teach for America, but not in a school. I had sort of a human resources role, recruiter, and now I'm working for the first time back in a school for the past about 6 months, and I'm in an administrative role in a small school in Chicago. And I'm working on my teacher certification en route to an administrator's license. And this spring, I'm going to be teaching grades 1st through 8th, which feels like a lot. And I'm excited to work with you.
It's Spanish, a second language you're teaching, right?
Yes, that's right.
And the school you're working for in Chicago is it a public school or private?
It's a small Catholic school, and almost all students are on a scholarship to be here. So it's within a low-income community in Chicago. And so the organization, I actually work for a different organization, but I'm placed in the school. So I work for an organization now called the Big Shoulders Fund, which is very similar to Teach for America in its mission, but it works within Catholic schools.
But if you had a master's in Teach for America and all that, what are you seeking to get from the Teach Now program? Or is it that all your documentation has expired, for example?
Yes.
Oh, so you're looking forward to renovating your license.
Exactly. And I never had licensure in Illinois. I had it in Washington, D.C. And then that has expired.
Oh, okay.
So now it is time for a re-up.
Okay. What about your private life? Do you have children?
Yes, I've been married for almost 20 years. I have a son who is 9. He's in 3rd grade. Yeah.
Does he go to your school?
No, I live actually kind of far away. I live in about an hour outside of the city.
Okay. All right. So he goes to a closer community school here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to begin by saying that I too was once a Teach Now candidate. So, and I liked it so much that I wanted to keep being part of the family, and now I'm working for them as a virtual mentor.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Venezuela,
Latin
America. So my mother tongue is Spanish.
Great.
But I've had the privilege to live in different countries around the world. So I've lived in Germany. I've lived in the Caribbean, in St. Martin, which is half French and half Dutch. I lived in the States. I lived in Florida and in Alabama. And now I'm settled here in Spain. Hopefully no more moving.
And where in Spain are you? Sorry.
Geometry, technology.
Wow.
I've been all over as a second language. Did you choose already which grade level you'll be teaching?
Yes, so I'm going to teach 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
but for the Teach Now purposes, which class are you going to be recording?
Oh, okay, that's helpful to know. So I would only record one grade level?
I would advise so. Why? Because there are many variables that are added to the equation if you keep changing from classes to classes. If things work or don't work, it'll be hard for me to put the finger on what happened? Was it the age? Was it the atmosphere? Because the relationship between students are better than in the other one, you know?
Yep.
So it's not a must, but I recommend you stick to one grade level so then I can really, really and closely identify your growth.
Got it. Okay.
But well, as you wish, if you ever have an inconvenience, if you wish to follow this suggestion, but you ever have an inconvenience and you need, for example to make a for a little different, that would also work. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I might then go with 6th grade. It's a fairly small group. It's about 10 students.
Okay.
So all the classes are very small here. I have not.
I'm just curious, why did you choose to go for the grade 6?
Well, I used to teach middle school, so I have experience teaching 7th and 8th. And I work right now, I facilitate Rosetta Stone. Do you know Rosetta Stone?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I facilitate Rosetta Stone for the middle grades. I don't teach exactly, but I have built a relationship with each of the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And so when you ask that question, the first group that comes to mind that I have kind of the easiest click with is 6th grade.
Right. So it's because you feel more confident with them.
Yeah.
Because you have experience and because you're okay. All right. Okay. That sounds fair. It's good for me to know that you're starting off with a strong feeling about it. Other candidates, just to let you know, other candidates usually go for the one that they don't feel comfortable with.
Okay. Good.
Because I want to learn how to deal with this classroom environment and I want to gain the most, but it all depends on what other reasons could be I plan on focusing on middle school for future references. So that's where I want my specialization to be. So that's why.
Interesting. Okay. One thing I should bring up. So the reason, for instance, also that kind of the easier class come to mind, but I may switch that then for Teach Now, is that I need to simultaneously do a process for the state of Illinois that's called EdTPA.
Okay.
And I need to be submitting video segments with commentary.
Okay, so you can use that material for both projects.
Right, yeah.
What does NTPA stand for?
Oh, I forget what it stands for. Sorry. It's a great question.
No problem.
Everybody's always using that term. So, if you have an out-of-state license, which Teach Now will give me a license for Washington, D.C., you go through this other process at the state level that kind of, I don't know, proves.
Certifies you.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All righty. Now let's jump into the program. Okay. Let's talk about module 8 expectations.
Okay.
Did you have your meeting last night already?
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah. Yes. Did you go through the in-task rubric for the 10 standards with your who's your not your mentor, your instructor? Who's your instructor?
Yes. Wait, I wrote her name down because I can't remember. Michelle. Oh, I don't know her last name. Michelle.
Okay, it's Michelle. Okay.
Michelle.
All right. Perfect. So, all right. So you're already familiarized with the rubric, and that's going to be that's where we're going to be building our structure. Okay, those are our foundations.
Okay.
Now, obviously, if you want to get high scores, if you want to aim for outstanding, then just go to the rubric and read what outstanding looks like and try to adapt your lessons as much as possible to what is expected of you. All right. That would be my advice. Each week you will be covering one standard, and every week you are expected to submit several requirements. To me, to your virtual mentor, you're going to submit a full video of your lesson if it's what is it? Is it 45, 50, 60 minutes? How long are the
Yeah, it's
periods?
between 35 and 45 minutes.
Perfect. So a 45-minute video of your lesson. Your lesson plan. And reflection.
And I'm sorry, you said reflection?
Reflection, yes, of your lesson. I mean, after you teach home and you reflect on it, and then there's a great advantage on the reflection. Not about seeing what you liked and what you didn't and what you disliked from your performance. It's also useful because if you feel that you could have done something better, but it occurred to you only afterwards, write it down. Say, listen, this didn't go well, but now that I think of it, I think I could have tried this and that. Okay, ways of how you could have improved, whatever it is that you weren't comfortable with.
Right.
And also, if there are things that you cannot integrate in the video, if you can't record it in the video, for example, communication with families, you can't show that in the recording because you communicate with families via a phone call, or you exchange an email. So in those elements of the standards, you can explain, listen, this is not shown in the recording, but I want to share with you how I communicate with families. It's
and
like
that would go in the reflection.
Yes.
Yes.
And that would be totally valid.
Great.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So once I get those three things, 48 hours later, so if you want to meet on Sundays, then by Fridays, please make sure you send me these three requirements. And then on Sunday, we'll meet.
Okay.
I'll go through all your material, and then in our debriefing, I'm just going to point out what you're doing great on, what things we could work on. I'm going to try to give you ideas to, increase your repertoire of activities or creativity or whatever it is you have. And that's going to be my feedback, all right?
Great.
It's just about that. Remember, if you put common sense into your lessons, it's very difficult to find something right or wrong. As long as there's a reason behind it all. Like, I'm going to go for grade 6 because of this or that. I decided to make groups of 2 and pair up these students and these students because of that.
Yeah.
As long as you explain, and it's not just because I just randomly did it. Or if it's because you want to do it randomly, it's because I want to get them out of their comfort zone, and I want to, have them a little experience of how life really is, that you don't always get to pick your partners.
Right.
But always tell me what's your reasoning behind your process. Okay.
And I'm raising my hand. I think I'm changing my grade level.
You don't have to decide now. You can just think about it and let me know later.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I think I'm really leaning a different way now. I may go more the elementary route because I don't have previous experience teaching elementary, but I will be teaching elementary. And the only teacher in the building who did Ed TPA is the 3rd grade teacher, and it's a bigger group. Maybe I'll go 3rd grade. Okay, sorry.
We don't have that. That's fine. I love that I brought the question up, and then you have some time to reflect on it. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about the equipment you need in your class. So just make sure you have everything. If you're handing out worksheets, you have them there. Not that you're having to interrupt the class, make copies, and then come back, leaving the students all by themselves. Make sure you have your markers. If you're going to play a CD track, make sure you have the stereo with you. Don't always rely on the internet. If it's a YouTube video, try to download it previously so that in case there's no internet that day, that you can still carry on with your class because you have your backup plan.
Good.
And I had the blessing of having a person record all the lessons for me, with me. And that person would, if a student was participating, that person would turn the camera around and focus on the student, and then you could see the body language of the student. And if I was writing something important on the board, then that person would zoom in, and then my mentor could really appreciate what I was writing on the board, because since we're uploading that on YouTube, that the quality is not that good. So
who
if
was
you get
that
a chance,
person? How did you do that?
well, I just happened to find a very generous note. I think that person wanted to learn from my lessons. He was there as an observer as well. So he was like exchanging what I was teaching him with a huge favor. But from there on, I always recommend it, because it's a plus, and if you could encourage someone from high school and offer some community service hours for that.
Got it.
Maybe it's not a colleague, but a student. And if not, then don't worry. What people usually do is that they bring their tripod, they focus, so they put it, they one angle where I can see them from the front, and where I can have a general sense of where the students are.
Great.
Even if it's in the back, but at least, I can tell what's going on in the class. I can have a sense of an atmosphere. Once I had to ask a candidate to redo the video because it was just her. So I could hear the students.
Yes.
But even if I have their backs, that gives me a lot of information. I can see them talking with each other, being distracted, or many things going on. Okay, so it's best if you capture the students from the back at least. Most of you from the front, because I'm going to be having all my attention on you, obviously.
Okay.
So the voice will be echoed right into the camera, and that would be best. Okay.
Nathalie, I want to ask you one quick question. This is the first Zoom meeting that I have ever set up, and I set it for a half an hour. Will it cut us off at the hour?
Maybe, but if it does, catch up our meeting some other time, because I too have to go to class in 10 minutes. So
great. Okay.
If it cuts off, it means that we left it unfinished, and we'll work something out quickly to wrap things up. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have already the permission to record your students from the school or from their parents?
I have it.
Like image rights.
I have it from the school. I don't have it from all the parents.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the school has it, it's because the parents prior to it authorized it. So that's done. Okay, wonderful. So we are working on grade. We're still thinking on what grade level we're going to teach.
Third, but okay.
Third, okay. But if we just decided on that, if we recently decided on that, then it's hard for us to speak about what units you're going to cover, what standards, what objectives.
Well, yes and no, because I know that I'm going to be teaching 1st through 4th, and because it's my first time teaching elementary, for the beginning, I was going to structure most of the lessons similarly and around the same themes, because the students have not had any formal instruction in Spanish in the past. So I was going to begin, well, certainly in the very first week, I would begin with rules and procedures and how do we want to operate, because they've never worked with me before, and I want to create an effective dynamic with students, because I'll be coming into their classroom and then I'll go out. And then at the end of that first week or into the second week, I want to begin with greetings. Okay.
Now, the school year is not starting right now. It's almost finishing, right?
Well, we have March, April, May, and tiny bit of June.
So what did they do before this conversation? They've never had Spanish before? They're starting Spanish in the middle of the school year?
So junior high has had Spanish this whole time. Elementary has never had Spanish. And so they were excited that I needed to do this.
For the first time in the middle of the year.
Yep.
That's crazy, but okay.
Yep.
But that actually works in our favor.
Yes.
especially because Teach Now wants to know from the very beginning, how do you establish norms and rules in the classroom?
Mm-hmm.
So think about how, if you're going to talk about the rules to be followed in the classroom, you're going to discuss it with them and have a deciding what is expected from them. Because,
right.
you know, it always, they feel that it's coming from them. Like I suggested we'd have art and clean up. I suggested we, you know, always bring our homework.
Yes.
So I have to stick to the rule, you know?
Uh-huh.
So try to capture that first conversation, discussion that you have with them, and the camera for the baseline video too.
Okay, good.
The program is interested in that. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then in that sense, you'll be covering lots of things. Students' interests. You do like a classroom-centered activity, you know, where they have to reflect on it. It's critical thinking.
Yep.
They communicate and collaborate with each other. They're being creative. Decide if you're going to put a big poster on the wall, or if you're just going to have little papers stuck to their desk. All those things you can discuss for the first recording.
Okay. Good.
All right. And so, and you said that you had an idea of what standards and objectives you want to follow. Do you have like a common core you follow?
Well, so there are what's the name of it? There's a national foreign language set of standards that is, there are those standards that are married to the Common Core standards for language arts. And so there's a combined version that I'm working with.
Okay. What's the frequency of their classes? Is it once a week, twice a week, 5 times a week?
Every day. And I'm here at the school 4 days a week. And then one day I work in a different office. So 4 days, every day.
Okay, that's great, because constancy and dedication are the best allies when learning a foreign language. So that's an advantage you have right there. Good, good. I'm glad. One thing before I forget. Remember those 3 requirements I told you had to turn to me for the 45-minute recording of your lesson plan, and your reflection? And then I told you that we'd be meeting on weekly basis to debrief. Okay, then that 4th element adds up to the 4 things you have to turn into your instructor, to Michelle. So to Michelle, you have to turn in the 3 things you turn into me, plus our debriefing.
Okay.
Which is the latest recording that you're doing right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then,
but you have to edit it. We'll be talking we've been talking for 30 minutes now. You have to edit it and make it maximum 10, 15 top.
Okay.
So take out the important aspects and then include them in the recording. And so must you do with the class that you teach. You send me a 45-minute recording, but to her, it's only from 15 to 20.
Okay.
The most important detail. And sometimes if you can do video annotations, that helps, because maybe you're highlighting things that I'm not detecting, like, I'm not sure if this element was covered.
Okay.
Well, here I'm telling you it's here, and in minute this, I was doing that, and that's where I felt covered that part.
And then it looks like the other thing that we're supposed to talk about today is differentiating for varied learners within the setting.
Yes. Do you have students with special needs, for example?
So I know that there are some learners who have behavior modification plans. I don't believe there are any students in 3rd grade who have an IEP, but I know that there are, of course, different learning styles. And my own son has an IEP, has a number of different cognitive challenges and physical challenges. So it's something that I'm coming in aware of, and I want to meet with the teacher to get a good understanding of each student and some of the best ways to approach or to better accommodate students. It does make me also think about how to create just the clearest directions that I can as I think about, for instance, adapting to my own son, who's also in 3rd grade. and when possible to create kind of visual aids or kind of, what am I thinking of, like a flow chart that helps a child to understand, maybe different pieces of verb conjugation.
Well, remember that, first of all, you cannot generalize. Even if two students have hyperactivity and deficit of attention, they might work differently, okay? So not because they're diagnosed with the same thing, you can generalize, but there are certain patterns that might help them both at the same time.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay.
So you need to work with the professional that has diagnosed them very closely. If it's a psychologist, they are the ones that run the tests, that diagnose them, and that give the teachers the recommendations and steps to follow.
Okay.
Then you get together with the coordinator and the parents of that student, and together you create the IP where everybody is committed and everybody's on the same page and everybody agrees on it. Even the student, right? Even the student knows what's going to happen and how am I going to be evaluated different, how the content is going to be adapted to mine, for example. Okay.
Okay.
And then remember that those IPs are submitted to constant changes, because that's like a proposal. Let's start working on this. Now, if the student is grasping the concept and it's working great, then you need to adapt it and then, increase the challenge. Or maybe we started off too difficult and now we need to step back a little more. Because we're not right there. So always keep your mind open to, it's not something fixed. We're going to be flexible and we're going to be working on it on the go.
Got it. Okay.
But in general, make sure you bombard your students with everything.
Okay.
Videos, listening for the audio, for the auditive, for the kinesthetic, include games, even if it's just like, if you think the answer is yes, run to the right. If you think the answer is no, run to the left.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you're going to get all kinesthetic, remember to leave that for the end, because if they get all excited, it's very hard to bring them down.
Okay. And then just
for the end.
It does seem like there are some good things within the rubric that we can touch on for instance, in terms of making modifications for learning styles. I know that one of the things that we're intended to talk about today is how we'll use the rubric. And the rubric does seem to be very, very helpful in articulating some of the different strategies and keeping it top of mind.
It's very explicit. It's very objective. And the only thing I can think of is, well, you're going to be graded from 1 to 4, 4 being outstanding. And, And if you ever have, you're not, let's see. I know you have 20 years of experience in this field. And you seem like a very strong candidate. But I am obligated to share with you that you might not start off with all 4s.
Yes, that's cool. Okay.
And remember that this is a growth
mindset
module.
Yeah.
So it's common that you start, 2 or 3s maybe, and then we hope to get you on outstandings. Okay, good. We're evaluating how much you've grown, how much you've learned. At this point, I know that you're more than comfortable on receiving feedback and positive criticism. You've been receiving that throughout the whole program. So I'm sure that won't be an issue.
Yeah.
And I'm also very smooth with whatever I have to say. I'll never just chop your head off or anything. I'll just give you ideas. Listen, how do you feel about this? Do you think it worked for you? It didn't. And then if you allow me, I'll give you some examples or ideas that come to my mind, and that's it.
Good.
It's all experience. All right.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
All right. We're good to go. And we made it right before the 30 minutes.
So I should edit this video before I submit it to Melissa to
yes.
Okay, got it.
The most important part, make it 15 minutes top, 10, 15 minutes top.
Okay.
Before sending it to Michelle.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Michelle, right, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Laura, it was wonderful meeting you. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And let me know when you have all your material ready. Send it out via email and I'll start looking at it, and then we'll set up a debriefing time.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye, Laura.
Bye.